My friends, I'm so happy to have our friends here, Dr. Ari and Walter Link. Dr. Ari is the founder of Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is Sri Lanka's largest social movement. Dr. Ari is widely known as the Gandhi of Sri Lanka. And in my opinion, Dr. Ari can be described in just 2 words. And the 2 words are living saint. Here's a humble English teacher, through the sheer force of his goodness, created the largest social movement in Sri Lanka, involving 15,000 villages, millions of people, building thousands of schools, health centers, libraries, roads, and village banks, and so on. Dr. Ari demonstrates that you can integrate deep inner work with transforming every aspect of human life and the world. Walter here is a close friend of Dr. Ari and his family. He chairs
Sarvodaya International.
Sarvodaya International. And as senior strategy advisor and a leadership coach and a social investment banker to the organization. And Walter is involved in the same kind of work. His work is integration of personal practice into the broader world. My friends, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Ari and Walter. Let's begin. Since we have a saint here, let's begin with some saintly sitting. I'm going to invite Dr. Ari to guide us in a few minutes of mindful sitting.
Thank
and
you.
Then I have Walter guide us a few minutes of a relationship practice. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm extremely delighted that I'm able to visit Google again. Google I remembered because of this jolly good fellow who cannot be erased from my mind from the day I met him. What we need is human beings on this planet who can live all the time in, I call, joy of living. He is one such person. So I'm very humble to be back with you and Google, and I'm looking forward to greater universal service on the part of the institution as well as all of you. To anything in the world, mind is supreme. Therefore, for a moment, let us try to develop some mindfulness by undergoing few minutes of meditation. Please close your eyes very lightly. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep the back erect so that the nose, the chin and the chest fall in one line. Keep the right hand on the left hand. Just look at your own body, head to foot. Normally, we do not look at our body with our mind. Now let us look at our body and see how this body is nothing but getting together of 4 elements in nature: hardness, liquidity, air or expandability and contractibility, and heat. These are the 4 elements that go to make my body. Similarly, all of us are made of these 4 elements. and everything around us and in the world. Now we slowly bring our mind to the tip of the nostrils. I observe how the breath enters through the nostrils, how they escape through the nostrils, sometimes short breaths, sometimes long breaths, sometimes through one nostril, sometimes through both. For a moment, let us observe how this breath coming in and out conducts itself. While trying to concentrate our mind to breathing in and out, we feel very relaxed in body as well as the mind. How does the mind originate? We have in this body, living body, pair of eyes, pair of ears, a nose, a tongue, a body, as well as a mind. Whatever images that fall into our eyes, eye consciousness is created. Similarly, sounds create sound consciousness. Smell creates olfactory or smell consciousness. Tongue creates taste consciousness. Body creates feelings. Mind creates thoughts, memories. All these 6 senses create sensations. Now, while keeping the mind in breathing in and out, we try to observe how these 6 sensory organs get messages from outside, creating either pleasant feelings and thoughts or creating unpleasant or even neutral thoughts and feelings. Observe the 6 sensory organs and how they behave while keeping the mind always at breathing in and out at the starting point. I'm trying to be mindful to everything that is happening in this body-mind combination every moment. While continuing to look at the breathing in and out, and while continuing to observe how the sensory organs conduct themselves with regard to external stimuli they get. See the impermanence in the eyes, impermanence in the objects that the eye sees, impermanence in the eye consciousness, impermanence in the ears, impermanence of the sound, impermanence of the sound consciousness. In this manner, the impermanence of every sensory organ, including the mind, the thoughts we get. In this body or mind, I cannot discover anything as a permanent entity. Everything changes every moment. I shall attempt to abstain from holding to anything material or mental with attachment. I know that attachment brings suffering, sorrow. Now, with that observation or mindfulness of the body and mind, body, sensations, perceptions, volitions, and consciousness. So these five they see as momentary, of momentary existence, and attachment is not going to be of any benefit. The same process takes place in all of us. So first I extend loving kindness to my own body and mind. Then I extend loving kindness to all of us present here. Then let us extend our loving kindness to all those who are near and dear to us, our parents, our spouses, our children, our friends, our colleagues. May all of them be well and happy. May we now extend the loving kindness to everybody on this compound, everybody in this area, everybody in our country, everybody in this world, from mindfulness of my own body and mind and realizing its impermanence and detaching myself and reducing my egoism, I extend my loving kindness to the entire living world, entire universe. With mindfulness we began. With loving kindness, we expanded our hearts. It's going to create a critical mass of spiritual consciousness in the world, without which there is no peace possible, without which we can't put an end to enmity, hunger, conflicts. May I be well and happy. May all of us be well and happy. May the entire world be well and happy. Thank you.
Before you open your eyes, please notice the impact that this practice has had on your mind and your head. Not only the thoughts, but also the energy, the space, the quality of experience in your head. And then notice also the impact on your feelings. Internally, without speaking them, find a few words that describe your inner state of feeling. And then notice also your belly and the rest of your body and the sensations you have there. Notice that the breath is flowing in the belly. Kind of anchor yourself in this awareness of the breath in the belly. And then gently, without rushing, allow your eyes to open while remaining focused in your belly. Notice that it can be quite challenging because the eyes bring in powerful sensations that pull us towards the sensation. And rather let what you see come to you, so that you see what you see and hear what you hear, and it kind of enters a space of you that includes your body. And you keep noticing the impact that it has there. In a moment we will go into much more content for the mind, that the mind hopefully will get curious about and engaged with. And we spend a lot of time in our head center thinking and being inspired, and it's also good to keep present in your belly and in your heart center. And notice how you're impacted as we speak in an ongoing way. Because often we think that listening is to pay attention to the other and especially to the other's words. And that's really important also. But really our heart and our body is constantly also being impacted. And the more awareness we have about this impact in ourselves by the other, the more freedom of choice we have how to respond. And so this is a way how you can take this ancient Buddhist practice into really every moment of your life. In a business meeting, in a strategy and innovation discussion. Right? We can stay present to ourselves and see, that there are different parts of ourselves impacted, and that also the other person is not only their words, but they might have certain feelings, a certain presence. That's also really an important way they communicate. So it's really a unity, there's you and me and this mutual impact that we have. And when we open that even further, then we see there's a whole field here. Because we will all impact each other. And of course there's the whole company and the whole world. And we can listen, use this mindfulness to really be aware of what's going on these different levels. And keep coming back to that during our time together, just to practice together. And not only talk about interesting stuff. So with that, I pass it on to you.
Thank you, my friends. Dr. Ari, my first question is for you. So you started as a English teacher in college, and you ended up with a huge social movement. So my first question is how? What was the story behind this?
While I was a teacher, my hobby or pastime was to visit communities, particularly those who were socially and economically very depressed communities. And then one day in my class, consisting of teenagers, I told them the story of one village. I said I visited many villages. The more I visit this village community, the more I feel that there are things that we as students also can do without waiting till we grow up and take various kinds of employment. Then my students suggested, sir, why don't we organize ourselves during the next vacation, go to a village, live with the village people, learn from them while contributing in some way or other to satisfy one or more of their basic needs. That's how it all started 56 years ago. So these students and teachers, all of us, settled down in a village for a couple of weeks, and we asked village people that we will cook together in one kitchen, we will eat together, we will sing together, we will meditate together, we will dance together. At the same time, we will share our labor and whatever skills we have to build a well, to build a school, to build some toilets, do some agricultural work like that. So we had a timetable where during 2 weeks' time, a lot of physical achievements, work was there which anybody could see, feel physically. At the same time, we had about 4 hours of more of meditation, discussion, learning from one another. So it became a kind of educational extension program which continued to other villages during other vacations and weekends. Then we found ourselves that we were a big village development movement. So we had to organize ourselves from education to development. And development actually was a word which was meant for animals, livestock development and all that. But I think it was one of the American presidents who gave development a connotation that human beings should be developed. In a way he is right, because we have degenerated, most of us, into levels of even animals. Otherwise these killings can't go on, this exploitation cannot go on in the world. But we gave a different meaning to development. We said it's an awakening process. We have come to this village to awaken our human personality. And in our culture, in the Buddha's teachings, we have been told that there are 4 principles, very simple to remember, which could be practiced by all of us at all times to awaken our personality at work, when we take a bath, when we eat, whatever we do during the day. First is loving kindness. So we practiced this metta meditation, meditation on loving kindness, trying to, as much as possible, make our ego less and less prominent and our universal nature to come up, so that we feel a brotherhood among all beings, not only humans. So there was a spiritual aspect to it. Then there was a moral aspect. While we were camping out in a village, we were very particular that there was no alcohol in that place, no gambling, not even talking unnecessarily. Always pleasant and constructive speech, constructive activity, quality in association like that. So all the work we did in the village by way of physical labor or teaching or health care, or even doctors coming and helping to have clinics for the people without charging, all these things became compassionate action. So human beings should develop loving kindness or metta, convert that loving kindness into compassionate action. Say you are seated in Google, your office, trying to create something. If your principal objective is well-being of all humanity, then what you do, creating a new product, creating new something for the company, which in turn is going to help others, is become compassionate action. It's not a selfish kind of action. And at the end of it, I'm sure when you discovered your first whatever engineering skill in Google, you would have felt a terrific joy of living, achievement, not money part of it. Money is secondary. We are not going to come back to get anything from there, but we feel so happy. That is called mudita. Loving kindness, compassionate action, altruistic joy, and some people turn around and say, look at those fools, without studying for their examination and getting a first class pass, they are going and wasting their time. There are some people who ridicule you. The others say this is real education. In my country, education is at that time thought this was nonsense. First thing they did was to interdict me from my job. I said, thank you very much for interdicting me. I will use that time to do more work with my students after school hours, which I continue to do. But I said, I have a family, I have a wife, I have a couple of children in those days. So I'm going to come to your house for my meals. So see to it that my salary is not stopped. So I got the salary while I was interdicted. There was a hue and cry in the country. And the bureaucrats had to give in, and the president, the prime minister called me. She said, ask the official who interdicted me either to repeal the whole thing, give me everything that I lost, or for him to go home. So They asked me what are the challenges. From the day one, it was challenges. Therefore, equanimity is very necessary. Whenever you do something good, first people will treat you with indifference. Then they will start joking about you, ridiculing what you are doing. This is not education. Then they will start insulting you. Those days they said, I'm going out to villages with boys and girls to have a nice time. So insulting you. Without stopping that, they try to prosecute you, to do all kinds of harm to you, even make an end to your life. All these things. Then comes the worst. People begin to respect you. Now I am going through that terrible experience. I know how weak I am. I know what weaknesses I have, but other people don't believe it. There were times when I was smoking. I was smoking 15 years ago. Nobody believed I smoked. Yeah, they see me smoking. They say, see, look at Ari. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. He talks always pleasant language, like that. So that is a very dangerous period. That's why you have to be careful. I have to be careful. All of you have to be careful. If you do good, the worst comes last. When people respect you, then you think I know everything. So therefore, personality awakening was our first objective. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha, loving kindness, compassionate action. Don't say I'm doing a job at Google's. I'm engaged in compassionate action in Google's. How nice to say that. The benefit I get is joy of living, creating. Last thing is we accept name and blame, loss and gain with equanimity. Those are first objective. Second, third, like that, up to world awakening, these 56 years we have built up theoretical base also from practical work.
I don't know if anybody of you caught that. He says 56 years. So Dr. Ari has been doing this for 56 years.
8 years before that as a student.
Yes, and he is like 84 years old.
Yeah.
And he's so vital, right? There's one thing that in common between me and Dr. Ari, neither one of us looks a day over 65.
Thank you.
Ari, about equanimity, there's something else about equanimity which fascinates me about you. And to me, it appears as courage. Courage.
Yeah.
So in your case, I know that there's been a gun pointed at you more than once, right? And there was a particular story I was particularly touched by. And I know the last time we met, I asked you whether it was true, and you told me it was true. And the story was that somebody tried to assassinate you.
Yeah.
And they were going to bomb a school that Dr. Ari was visiting. And Dr. Ari found out about that, and he found out who the guy was, and he went to the guy's house. And he says, don't bomb the school, right? You're going to hurt the kids. So I'm here right now. You want to kill me now. And the guy decided not to kill you.
He tried to kill the...
Yeah, it could have gone either way, by the way. Just to let you know. So my question for you, Dr. Ari, where does this courage come from, and how is this courage related to mindfulness?
First, try to develop loving kindness almost to perfection. I am not saying I am perfect, but supposing you get up in the morning, I am talking practical things. As you get up, don't think of the problem you have been tackling here. Just extend your loving kindness to your wife, your children, anybody. Or even if there are persons that you don't like in the neighborhood, give loving kindness to them. Then you get ready and come to office. On your way back, everybody you meet, known or unknown. Sometimes in a very cold morning we say good morning. So we have that kind of courtesy. But why not in your mind tell everybody, may you be well and happy. May you be, yesterday I was going on the street. with him or somebody in the evening, day before. A lady came, young lady, maybe 30, 40 years. She looked so pathetic. Can you give me $1? I was surprised. In America, there are people who beg. So I took out and gave it to her. And then somebody else was with me, Richard. He also gave $1. Now, before I gave that, when I was at that moment, we were not talking. I was extending loving kindness to everybody. So when in times of war, on either side, there were groups who were fighting. But we announce and say, we are coming on a peace walk. When you go on a peace walk, you go only looking at the tip of your nose. So you don't see anything more than that. You don't see people with guns there or people with guns there. You extend loving kindness to your own body and mind, then proceed. Extending that loving kindness to people on either side. Believe me, they had no guts to pull the trigger. So it all comes through loving kindness. Then loving kindness, now when I was confronted with Choppe, that criminal, he was a terror. Anybody uttering his name wouldn't utter his name without looking, seeing that there are nobody around. When I heard this, of course, I thought, I am practicing this loving kindness. I'll practice it on this fellow and see what happened. That way I didn't know what fear was, because I was engaged in something very important. So I went to him and revealed why I came and who I was. He just got up from his seat, sat down here. What I have realized all my life is the most cowardish people are those who take up arms. They are the first class cowards. They fear people who are fearless. So during the last 56 years, I may have more than 50 occasions. Fortunately, up to now, still when I go back this time, I don't know where I will be. Because again, politically, everything is warming up, and as a neutral person, everybody is expecting me to take this side or that side, but I won't take any side. I will take the side of peace and for reconciliation and all that. So always when you do good, you are in danger because the world is not that civilized yet with regard to non-violence. Therefore, the more you cultivate this loving kindness, fear disappears from you. Actually, I don't say I'm not afraid. But there have been occasions when I should have been afraid. But it was this loving kindness and nothing else that saved me. If I believe even Mahatma Gandhi, if he had a chance, just a minute or so before that fellow shot him, he wouldn't have got killed. He had no time even to think when he came and killed him. So the victim, I believe, victim is always associated with the killer. If victim does not cooperate, the killer can't kill you. So these things come to your mind if you spend hours and hours in deep meditation. So I don't want to go into details of that. Because now I said mindfulness. Mindfulness leads you to look at everything as impermanent. Say, I look at my wife, children, grandchildren as impermanent. That does not mean that I do not love them. I'll sacrifice my life to save them in case of a danger. That's different. In the back of your mind, you have to have, I am he or she, we are all temporary appearances on this planet. So then impermanence. Then once you realize these two things, you begin to discipline your mind. I have good thoughts, I will never allow them to escape my mind, I have some bad thoughts, I'll get rid of them as quickly as possible. I'll bring in new good thoughts to my mind. I'll never allow new bad thoughts to come in. That is called right effort. When these three things, now I can see in him, I can see in many of my colleagues, when you have these three things, you're always happy. Now lot of people ask me back home, how can you be such a responsible man? You're always joking. Here there are people killing one another. You are joking and say, let's go and help them. How come? This is the result of these three. Fourth thing is therefore happiness. Then it becomes a trait. You're always happy, not just momentarily. Then comes the sixth thing, where you realize this thing called samadhi. Samadhi is right concentration, where no thoughts arise in your mind. It's totally blank. After a blank period of the mind, then when you come to the next stage of upekkha, day-to-day living, equanimity, then your creativity comes, then new thoughts come. So that all these things have to happen together. Therefore, no time for fear then.
Speaking about no good deeds going unpunished, I have a question for you, my friend Walter. So the question is what's a nice guy like you doing a place like this? I'd like to know about your involvement in this organization. Specifically, I'm interested to know, I know that your organization is trying to change the economics of the world. And I'd like to hear your views on that as well.
Yeah. Well, as you can notice, Ari is very convincing. So he just basically recruited me. We were organizing a big conference at Omega Institute that I was on the board on in New York. And Ari came and he kind of walked straight to me and he said, I need you to come to Sri Lanka and help us bring this organization in the 21st century, because we have a very good thing going, but we need to understand how to take a next step, both in terms of the economic and the political and social development environment and so forth. And I think what was relevant in this is that we are, I think all three of us, we are interested not only to work on a project, even though a project is important, but we want to create movements. And he had read a book that I had edited about global leadership, which was a movement that we are continuing to try to bring into the world, which really looks at all the sectors of society and sees how can we really bring about, you could say, a sustainable, a just, but also very functional innovation there. And his organization works in all sectors of society, so it really requires a rethinking of all these different things. And I myself came from running a big traditional company and then moved on into transforming business by bringing together many people who owned and ran companies to show there is really a different way and it works. It's not some kind of ideal, right? Because I think that's really what makes a real concrete movement. It's not just to have an aspiration that is inspiring, but then people look at their life and the stretch seems too big. And there is no guidance about how to move from where they are to actually implementing the changes that are necessary to reach that inspirational place. And so, that's where we started a deep dialogue and a deep collaboration in bringing about these movements not only in Sri Lanka but also internationally.
Dr. Ari, I have a question for you. There are so many things about you that inspires me. And one of those many things is that what you do actually works. And so I compare what you do to like international aid, right? When rich countries give to poor countries and the money just disappears to corruption. But you don't do that. You started with nothing. You're just a school teacher. And what you did was you inspired people to give the gift of labor and love to each other. And in doing so, it created the whole massive movement, like 15,000 villages, millions, thousands of schools, and so on and so forth being built. And so my question for you, first, how what can people learn from this thing that you did, like inspiring each people to give to each other? And also, I'm interested to know about grassroots democracy. And I know you've done some thinking and some work in that field, and I want to know like what is the current state and what can we learn from that as well.
You may remember I started by talking about individual personality awakening. Next comes family, then the community, then our groups and nations and the world. So awakening is something that could be implemented starting from the individual to the world level. But unfortunately, most of the modern economic, social and political theories are based on not that holistic kind of approach, not for the well-being of all, well-being of the majority. That's why Mahatma Gandhi coined this word Sarvodaya, which we adopted from India, because our language also rooted in Sanskrit. So this word was similar to our language. So we adopted the word Sarvodaya from Mahatma Gandhi. So this concept of working for all is something that Buddhist culture always had. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu. May all beings be well and happy. Now if a mosquito alights on my hand, if I kill the mosquito, my mother will turn to me and say, why did you kill that mosquito? That mosquito also has a right to live. Where else can this mosquito live? You should have chased him out or not allowed mosquitoes to breed. So, respect for life is there in our culture, that life is there with every living being. So we had to think of development models which take this kind of basic truths into consideration. So truth, nonviolence and self-reliance were the three principles on which we started. We told our communities, you are poor. Government says they have no money. Therefore, they can't give you a water service scheme, wells or irrigation tanks or anything. What do we need? Now, in the modern economics, you talk of land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. That is what we were taught in the universities. But in our ancient culture, it's not land, it's nature. It's not labor, it's human personality. It's not money, it's not capital, it's social wealth. It's not entrepreneurship only, it is science and wisdom, the ancient culture. Let us bring these 5 factors of progress together and see what happens. Thousands of people join to cut the road to the village, dig wells, from nature itself collect material and put up houses, not big concrete modern houses, but livable houses with plenty of air, sunlight and privacy and all that. So that kind of creativity they never thought of after we became independent in 1948. They thought of imitating the Western world, who had a lot of money from exploitation, from conquests. Now we didn't have that kind of capital. So we had to have our own process. So we call it an awakening process. And then of course the problem we have is all these things are imitated by governments and others with limited objectives, political or profitable objectives, but not for the general well-being of humanity. But now I think there are many institutions from around the world who come and spend time with us, from universities, scholars, World Bank and IMF and all these organizations come, and I am very careful. I We have several thousand working in the movement full time and many more volunteers. I have told them to be very, very careful of experts, consultants. You know that joke about consultants, no? Consultant went to a village, asked a village woman, your hen lays an egg every day? Oh yes. Any problem? No problem. Then this expert was very disappointed because there was nobody to get advice from him. When he was getting into the car, the woman ran to the expert and said, yes sir, I have a problem. Can you tell me how to distinguish between a male chick and a female chick? He said, you have to ask the chicken expert. I am only some other expert. So that's what experts come and go. I have been an expert myself for 1.5 months in Uganda. I was paid so much I felt sick of it. I got another fellow recommended to do my job. I came home. I didn't know what to do with that money. I gifted it, and there's a nice meditation center there. All of you can come and meditate.
I have one last question for both of you, which is how are you going to turn this into a global movement, and how do we help you do that?
You go.
I think this world needs 3 things to happen if we are to eliminate conflict as well as hunger and other causes for this present situation. One is democratize the economic and social life by decentralized planning and organization, what we call Gram Swaraj. Self-governance of communities. Imagine the planet with communities of maybe 100 families, 200 families, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, having maximum possible freedom to decide what they want to do with least interference from the top. That is one. Total devolution or decentralization of power. Second thing is, unless there is a spiritual foundation on which these people unite, it won't work. Because they will again demand somebody from the top to send the army or the police to settle our disputes. So second thing is a spiritual awakening. Third thing is, while you have that critical mass of spiritual consciousness keeping the people together, you need most modern communication technology. Go into every village there, every community in the planet. To prepare for it, we have a section called fusion, because we didn't know how to handle IT and all that. But I said, whatever it is, this is a good thing. We can reach more and more and more and more people and knowledge. So start training people in this. So at least a couple of people in our villages they are now competent to handle a computer, internet, like that. Now there we need a lot of help from you. That is, if we can get our 15,000 village network, which is now experimenting with totally decentralized banking. There are so many areas where we need help in technology. We are a very poor organization. We don't have, thanks to his donation he gave some time ago, they did a lot of work, including a good publication. I don't agree with the theme of the publication. It happened to be about a person, that is myself, which I don't like, but so many have helped us in different ways. Now he is giving us first class Western scientific knowledge also combined with Eastern spirituality without spending a cent on our part. So that way, those who have knowledge, money and other expertise should share it with us. We will share with you. We also have a lot of expertise derived from ancient living cultures, Dhamma in other words.
If any 1 minute, any last words from you?
Yes. So I think, you spoke about courage. I think one of the most important things that everybody could do is to have the courage to really listen to their deepest inspiration. I think we are very discouraged in doing that. And then to really look at every institution of our society and really look and see, like, how can that really fully represent our humanity and the sustainability that we want? And what can we learn from Sarvodaya? We are working, for example, on a big movement outreach to reinvent democracy, which also in this country and in many countries around the world, as we know, gets stale and formal and loses the alive dialogic interchange where we really get together to co-create the understanding of how we want to live together. So I think that's a very interesting project that we could talk more about. Secondly, fact is that businesses now impact societies in such a massive way that we really need to think about how to create companies that really represent this deepest inspiration. And so what we are doing, for example, is we took a non-profitable non-profit that was doing microfinance and gave very good social service, but wasn't really a model for reinventing the economy because it was just another nice social institution. We are transforming that into a fully regulated bank that presently is growing at 100% every year. And that requires really a very big cultural change also in the organization, where people that were used to just be good also had to integrate being good, being really effective. And I think this is also what we need. There is a good challenge in business to integrate really this deep humanity with doing it in a way that works. And I think, for example, when we look at innovation, innovation isn't just doing something new and different. It's doing something that really serves the world. Only then does it really deserve the word innovation. And all of that will only happen, third aspect that we, I think, can learn here, find a way for ourselves how we really develop our potential. Because it's not some kind of theory, this potential. It's a moment-to-moment opportunity to be more and more, step by step, deeper in our hearts, deeper in our clarity, deeper in a responsibility of interacting. And there are wonderful ancient methodology and modern contemporary methodologies that help us to do that. And we really need to start bringing them into our day-to-day life and see that with them, we get empowered to really be democratic. Because we cannot be democratic if we're stuck in our judgmental minds and cannot really feel the value of another person or their opinion. We cannot really reinvent a company if we can't access this creativity and the cooperation that brings about new things. And so I think the inner needs to be understood as being inseparable from the outer. It's only in modernity that we separated kind of private life and professional life, inner life and outer life, business and social service, spirituality and this. It's all one life. And when we live that life in a unified way, then it also brings to us a unified satisfaction and effectiveness of impacting the world.
Thank you, my friends. And with that, Dr. Ari and Walter. Thank you.